I mean, how we are going to specify, how we are going to control, and if we do not have the GRC in SAP system, what is the difference between the pre and the post of this particular implementation of this particular GRC? So here, the first, the GRC stands as a governance, risk, and compliance here. GRC stands as a governance, risk, and compliance here. So here, generally, as we are an SAP security consultants, we will be creating the users, we will be creating the roles, and depends upon the requirement. So we will create the first of all the landscape, and once all the system is set up, we will have a requirement to create the users, and we will have a requirement to create a roles. So that when we have any particular type of a ticket to create a role, we will see what is the exact requirement of the particular role creation. So which means, suppose we have the combination, if we need to create some ZSU01 role here. So in this particular ZSU01 role, there is a requirement to club the SU01 and PFCG transaction codes in this particular ZSU01 role here. So in the same way, sometimes in the functional side also, we will be getting some requirement to club some transaction codes into some particular role. So that time we was not aware what is exact functionality of those particular transaction codes. If we club those particular those transaction codes, what type of risks are available to a particular user when we assign that particular role to that particular user. Suppose if we take an example, the combination of this particular SU01 and PFCG, when any user have a combination of SU01 and PFCG, that user can able to create the number of users with the different user types, and the user also can able to create the roles, different type of roles with the unlimited restrictions. So there he can able to provide all the organizational levels as the full authorizations, or he can able to provide an access to this particular different company codes. Like that, if we have a combination of this particular SU01 and PFCG, just as we can able to understand these two T codes easily. So I took as an example as an SU01 and PFCG, but in real time scenarios, the SU01 and PFCG will not cause any particular risk. Just to understand easily, I am taking the example of this particular SU01 and PFCG here. So if any user is having the combination of this particular SU01 and PFCG, we need to say that yes, there is a particular risk is available here. So here, when we are assigning that particular combination, suppose in this particular SU01 role, sorry. Please be on mute. So when we have this particular, please be on mute. When we have the, suppose there is a requirement, this SU01 is already available in this particular ZSU01 role. PFCG transaction code to this particular role here. So that time we can able to view what are the conflicts are available if you add this particular PFCG to this particular SU01 role here. So we can able to find out if we add this particular PFCG to this particular role, what are the conflicts, what risks are available that we can able to control through this particular GRC here. So here GRC, governance, risk and compliance. I will explain you each and every word, what does it mean here. And here the current version of this particular GRC is, we have this particular GRC 10.0 and 10.1 here. So in the latest market, almost all the clients are implementing this particular GRC 10.0, and if they have the 10.0, they are upgrading to the 10.1. And previously we have this particular GRC 5.3, and previous to this 5.3 there is a 5.2, and previous to this 5.2 there is a 5.1, and previous to the GRC there is a Versa here, which is the version of this particular 4.x. X indicates 1, 2, 3 here. So here, this is the version history of this particular GRC. So in the class, I will explain you what is the difference between this particular difference between the 10 version and the 5 series here, which is 5.1, 5.2, 5.3. And what is the difference between this particular Versa and this particular GRC here. So these things will be covering under the class. And here, I will explain you here in this particular GRC, we have the different applications are available here. Different applications are available here. So what are those applications? We have the access control, which stands with the AC. Next, we have the process control, which stands as in a PC. Next, we have the RM, that is the risk management, which denotes as an RM. Next, we have the GTS, that is Global Trade Service. And next, we have the NFE, that is Nota Physica Electronica here. So these are the applications are available in this particular GRC 10.0 version here. So here this one, access control, process control, these all we will be calling as an application here. So here this class will be purely dealing with this particular GRC access control 10 version. So here we will be dealing only the application access control here. So in this particular access control, we have the ARA, that is access risk management. I will explain you this one descriptively in the class. Just now, like here, I am going to explain like what are the topics we'll be covering into our class. So next we have this particular ARM, that is access request management. Next we have the EAM, emergency access management. And next we have the BRM, that is business role management here. So these are we will be calling as a components here. These we will be calling as a components here. ARA, ARM, EAM, BRM here. So these are the components are available in access control 10 version. So this we will be calling as an applications. You should have the clear idea here what is the difference between this particular components and the applications here. So here once we know these particular here, so these are the 4 components are available in this particular GRC access control application here. So here I will be explaining you first of all in the course content, will explain you what is this particular GRC and what is the use of the terms governance, risk and the compliance here. So next we will be coming to this particular GRC architecture here. So how the GRC is going to be linked to the normal ABAP system. So what is the advantages of this particular GRC? That all will be covering under this GRC architecture here. So next we will be covering here the version history of this particular GRC. What is the difference between this particular current version and the previous version here? And what is the difference between these particular 4 components here? So access risk analysis, this means that through this component we will be finding out how we are going to extract the risk analysis for the users, or how we are going to extract the risk analysis for the roles, how we are going to do the mitigation, how we are going to the remediation, what is the purpose of simulation, how we are going to extract the reports at that level of the audit perspective. That all things we will be covering under this particular ARA component here. So next we will be having the ARM component. that is access request management. That is, if your client have implemented this particular GRC, then we will be not using or touching the SU01 transaction code at all, which means that as we will be creating any user from the SU01, if your client have implemented this ARM, directly the users will be raising the request from the ARM component. So the user provisioning to the backend system will happen automatically through this particular ARM component here. So which means ARM is related to the SU01 transaction code here. So next we have the EAM, that is Emergency Access Management here. That is Emergency Access Management, which means that if any user wants any critical transaction codes, suppose I am the finance user at the month end closure or quarter end closure, if I need any critical transaction codes, then I will be requesting some critical transaction codes, then you will be providing, that is, as you are a security consultant, you need to provide me through this particular firefighter ID here. So I will explain you what is firefighter, what is firefighter ID, what is firefighter owner, and what is firefighter controller, and how we are going to provide an authorizations to this particular firefighter users. All these things will be explaining in this particular EAM component here. So which means if any user needs any additional access, then we will be providing through this particular EAM component here. So next we have this particular BRM component, that is business role management here. So business role management, which means that, so generally if we have any requirement to create the roles, we will be creating through this particular PFCG transaction codes. Any single role or composite role or derived role, whatever the type of the role, we will be creating through this particular PFCG. But if your client have implemented this particular BRM component, then you will be creating the role through this particular BRM here. Then what is the difference if you have created your role through the PFCG and if you have created your role through the BRM component? Here is like, when you are creating a role through this particular BRM component, you can able to find out what risks are available while creating the role itself. So when you are creating a role, you can find if the combination of SU01 and PFCG will cause any risk or not. While before generating the role itself, you can able to find out what the violations are available. But if you are creating through the PFCG, there is no limit that we cannot able to create, we cannot able to stop the risk available in a particular role here. So that is the difference here. So that differences will be that differences of the descriptions of these particular 4 components. And these ARA, ARM, EAM, BRM, these components we will be calling in this particular GRC 10 version. Then what are the components we will be calling in the previous versions? There are the different naming conventions, that is RAR, that is risk analysis and remediation. Now we are calling as an ARA, ARM, CUP, EAM, SPM, super user privilege management, CUP is complaint user provisioning, BRM is enterprise role management. So these 4 we will be calling in the previous versions. So I will explain you here what is the difference between the component wise in the previous versions and the current versions here. So here the component differences. And next we will be discussing about the software. What type of a software we need if you want to install this particular GRC, and from where you need to download this particular software. We'll be explaining this particular in this particular step here. So from these particular 5 steps, you will get an idea what is the use of this GRC, why clients are going to be implement this particular GRC, and what are the benefits you can able to get if you have implemented this particular GRC, and which version you want to mention to your client, and what are the advantages to that particular version, that these all details you will be getting from these particular 5 points here. So here once we have these particular one here, so next we will be discussing about the post installation activities. Actually, these steps we will be, as a security consultant, these post installation we will be not doing, but as a security consultant, just we should have an idea, so that it will be good in real time scenario, that if any particular activity is not working, we can able to guide them through this particular post installation activities. This 6th step post installation activities will be doing by the basis, but we should have an idea of these particular post installation activities here. So once we are done with this particular post installation activities, next we will be discussing about this particular configuration of all the 4 components to the GRC system here. So here how we are going to configure this ARA, ARM, EAM, BRM here. So how we are going to discuss how we are going to configure these particular four components here, and what is the GRC landscape here. So what type of systems it is going to support this particular GRC system. So this first we will be discussing about the landscape, and next we will be discussing about the configuration of all the 4 components to this particular system here. So next, once we are done with this particular configuration, so next we will be discussing about the support activities, which means that if you are working as a GRC configuration GRC admin, till here it will be support, till here it will help you. The configurations of all the 4 components to this particular GRC system will be shown here as in a practical. So next we have the support activities. So if you support of activities of all the 4 components here. So if you listen this particular 8th step, that is support activities of 4 components, then if you are in a support project, you can able to support this particular support here. So the configuration, if you are in a GRC administrator, you can able to support this particular configurations of this particular GRC here. So here next we will be discussing about how we are going to extract the log report, how we are going to extract the reports as the auditor perspective. So if you have any particular requirement to extract the reports from the auditors, sometimes the auditors will be sending an email, please send some list of the roles which you do not have any particular violations, or these are the roles, please check what are the violations are available in this particular roles. So if these type of a requirement come, then how we are going to extract that particular type of a report. So we will be seeing this particular extracting the reports at the auditor's perspective. So here next we will be discussing about this particular the GRC certification questions here. So I will be sending you the dump here, like what are the GRC certification questions will be there here. So if you have any particular doubts in that particular dump, you can able to let me know in that. So these things will be covering in the particular class, and for each and every concept I will be providing you the notes, which I will tell you, you can write it. So because writing the notes will help you in future, after finishing this class you can able to refer your notes and you can able to practice directly instead of recording, or recording also it's your wish, but instead of that I will be providing you the notes for each and every topic. And if you are doing any particular practicals also, first I will show you the practical, and next I will be telling you the notes for that particular practical. Suppose if you are creating a user, so execute the transaction code SU01, enter the user ID, click on create, mention the user, use first name, last name, like that. I will be providing you the notes for each and every topic which we have discussed till now. And I will also provide you the interview questions for this particular GRC. and I will also provide you the what the roles and responsibilities you need to provide. You need to specify in your profile. That also will be providing to you, and the certification questions will be providing to you. Certificate dump, not questions, dump. And the server access also provides to you, which you can able to practice from your side also, so that whenever if you have any doubts, you can able to ask me, so that we can clear our doubts. So apart from this, I will also send you some soft copy documents to you, which you can able to refer. Those are the SAP related documents. So if you want to go through those particular SAP documents also, you for more knowledge, you can also go to this particular soft copy documents, which I will send to you. So these things will be covering in the particular class. If you have any doubts, you can ask me, or if you have any more requirement than this, you can also let me know now. Or if you have any doubts, just you can please ask me.
Hi Sandhya, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, hi Sandhya, I'm from Accenture.
Okay.
Currently I have 5 years experience in SAP.
And SAP security?